Hello, it's Dr. Brian McDonough, and welcome to the first time we're going to do this program a bit differently. If you're listening, you're usually used to hearing some eerie music, which I play on coronavirus today. If you're watching, you're probably like, I didn't even know he did an audio podcast. The bottom line here is since the beginning of the pandemic, I've been trying to do this in a multimedia approach, initially as much as every day, and recently about once a week. It's as much as needed. The goal, of course, is to try to educate and do what I can to provide you with information to make your best decisions. Now, one of the things I do in the audio that I'm going to include now that we're doing it in audio and video format is the number of deaths. It's more or less a signpost along the way in this pandemic. It's devastating, but we need to hear it to understand how serious this virus is. In the world, right now, 5,654,663 deaths. In the United States, 883,390. As far as deaths in the last 28 days, 55,268 in the United States. That's a significant number. Now, what is happening there? The vast majority, and I'm talking about overwhelming number of deaths, 85 to 95% are in those who have never been vaccinated. There continues to be misinformation about the fact that this virus doesn't exist, these deaths are made up. It's amazing what people can conjure in their minds, but the sad reality is we see the real results. Whatever you think, the vaccines do protect you. But still, why are we having these cases? And what kind of protection can you get from the vaccines? We're learning a lot. First of all, we're learning that Omicron has really hit the Northeast. It's hit the Midwest, but it's starting to go down in those areas, while it's still pretty big in the South and the West. But we see a trend where Omicron should slowly start to filter away. That's great news, especially as we head into spring and summer. If you've been vaccinated and boosted, which is what I recommend, you have the most protection you can artificially against the virus. And these people, especially those who are boosted, might get sick if they're exposed, but they carry the virus far less time and they also get far less sick. They're not showing up at the ED, they're not getting admitted to the hospital, and they're certainly not dying of the virus, but they still can get it. So that's why you see these cases. So what if you're somebody who got vaccinated and you got the virus? How protected are you? Well, you have the best protection of all. Now let me stress something. No one should go out and try to get this virus because it's so unpredictable. And I always have to hedge everything I say because there's always cases where the vaccines don't work or the virus attacks someone who seems to have no other reason to fall prey to it in an aggressive fashion. But the reality is, by and large, that if you've had the virus and you've also had the vaccines, they're saying you're good for about 3 to 6 months as far as having maybe the ultimate protection. Could you get a significant dosage of it and get sick? Yes. Could you? Can't predict anything. But the reality, big numbers, is you have the greatest protection. And that's important to know because, first of all, we can't go out much more than 6 months with Omicron because it hasn't been with us that long. And also, we're trying to do the best with the information we have. So the bottom line is get yourself vaccinated so even if you're exposed, you're protected to the extent you can be. In future episodes, we will look into the future of what we're going to do next, what's going to happen. But right now, we just want to get through this time of year and get to the spring and summer. One last point. Those of you who know me, obviously I work with KWW and 1010 Wins and have been doing news-related reporting and will continue every day. And I talk about COVID in its various forms virtually every day as well in these venues. So I'll still be doing that, and you can catch that on Odyssey and listen if you want or find it on the internet. I also am doing something which I started doing before the pandemic, which I love. It's a talk show, the Dr. Brian McDonough Show. All of this stuff is on the Brian McDonough channel on YouTube. But the Dr. Brian McDonough Show, I have fun. That's selfish for me. I interview guests I want to talk to. Recently, Daniel Mulhall, the Irish ambassador to the United States, talked all about James Joyce and his book Ulysses. And we talked a lot about literature. Mike Sealski, author of The Rise, Kobe Bryant's story before he became a pro. Those types of things, which are just fun, are on that program. And you might be surprised, I do have other interests besides COVID. And if you want to listen, that would be great as well. But we'll be here in this combined format going forward. You can hear it just about everywhere podcasts are released, and now you can also see it on video. Stay safe, please.